Alrighty, well, both teams are currently ready. We've got Joe Esports starting off on attack with PogChamp going to be starting on defense. Given that PogChamp has the defense first, faults go. You already vote according to Prod, X-Prod on Twitter. But yeah, we've got Joe on attack. This is honestly a very defender-sided map. One, because it's brand new, and two, just the rooms are I think the best site on this map is going to be Throne Room and Armory, just because of the sole fact that Throne Room is strictly horizontal gameplay. There's not many avenues that you can use for vertical gameplay. The only bomb site that's penetrable from up above is going to be Armory. So one thing that I'm going to be expecting when a team does go to defend Armory and Throne Room, they'll have their roamers hiding up above the bomb site around office and vault and around initiation, just trying to keep attackers from trying to soft destruct above the bomb site and try to keep them from entering into the bomb site as well. But looking over at our bans for the time being, we got Thatcher, Capitao, and Amira. Thatcher ban is something that makes maps even more defender-sided due to the fact of how much to clear. And speaking of utility, we're going to possibly be seeing a lot of it with Jaeger, Wamai, Goyo, Castle, possibly even.
Yeah,
It'll be
Jaeger.
very interesting to see how these two teams play on their defenses.
Jaeger, Wamai, and Goyo, that combo of three, whether it's all three of them at once or just two of them in a map, we've seen all over the place in PL, and it seems like we're going to see the other defensive strat that we see. Okay, switch to Wamai, but even still, they have the Vigil Mozzie Mute combo, which has been seen a lot of play as well in both. Okay, switch back to Pulse. I do like that fake out because Pulse is one of those operators that you want to make sure that you hide because he gets pretty easily countered by IQ. But it doesn't look like it's going to fake out Joe Esports this time, as Ali is going to stick on that IQ. But yeah, this Mute Mozzie Vigil strat, Uzumaki mentioned it earlier. The defenders have a pretty solid second floor presence on this map, where most of the avenues where the attackers can attack sites can be very easily flanked from and angle watched from the second floor. So in that sort of case, it makes perfect sense to run this very heavy information denial combo of Mute Mozzie Vigil that we've seen success many other maps.
Yeah, so we've got two sets of nades this time coming out, with the most recent operator receiving nades is going to be Maverick. That's going to be with clicks on that operator. We've got Geo with the stop destruction on the Buck, Ollie on the IQ. No hard breach being ran here for Joe. This kind of scares me a little bit. And one thing that's really made Drug Lab more of a easier site to defend now is the fact that they removed the hatch that's above the Drug Lab and can now be useful for defenders to look to just pretty much anchor down into the bomb site. Really have to worry about is just the drug storage above Cafe, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure those are the two locations that have been changed recently.
You mentioned they have no hard breach, and I think that's a pretty big problem, especially considering they don't have a lot of utility that can be incredibly helpful in directly pushing the site. They don't have, like, a Capitals off the board, for example. They don't have any smoke grenades. So they're really going to have to rely on these frags and their roam clear in order to take this site. If they try to play a game that goes straight onto site, it's going to be a bloodbath, basically. They're coming in through these really small choke points with no smokes, none of this major pushing utility.
So right now we got rethinking the entry for Joe right outside of Cafe. He was going to be contesting up by Filthy. He's currently over on top of the landing of those yellow stairs. He's currently going to also be contested by Aldi over by Bathroom. He's going to be assisted by Geo, currently sitting inside of Initiation. Meanwhile, right now, Rethinking just waiting for the go-ahead clear to move on through into Cafe. He's got Geo to fight for his refrag on top of the stairs. Filthy going to take some shots, but none are going to land here from Geo, as a drone's going to come out here for Joe. Now Geo's going to go ahead and start to buck on over, I believe, into Bunk. There is one hiding up there, and if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be Chala on the Mozzie.
PogChamp are playing this strat pretty well, I'd say, because one of the main reasons we saw this strat succeed on Clubhouse is that all of these defenders are very good at buying time, and they also have pretty safe routes back to site, as long as you open up the hatches, and they absolutely did. Meanwhile, Filthy does get taken out by a headshot. Wimpy gets the opening kill this entire match here, and that's a pretty good one too. Filthy, you're taking out the Vigil. That's time that he can no longer waste, and an incredibly good gun off the board.
Still have some drones being... Oh, actually, there's only one drone left here for Joe. It's going to be with Rethinking, so this is really tough here for the Intel game to work with for Joe. So with only one drone left, it's going to be very tough, and I think the defenders are going to win this regardless here because there can be really not that much information to be gathered. Right now you have Ghost, Chala, and Trippin all lined up to try to fight for frags down the bathroom hallway. There's only 35 seconds that remain, and you still have the Castle of Ghost sitting inside a barrel room. One over by the yellow stairs is going to be Ollie. Ghost goes down right around the corner. It's going to be Chala swinging around the corner. He's not going to find the successful Ollie, going to get taken out here by Wimpy. Refragged by Chala. Now it's an effective 2v4. Prod and Trippin, the last members alive here, are going to take one down. Time takes down two. Prod going big here for those 2 picks. Shotgun in hand, very close in the bathroom is going to be Trippin. Wimpy not expecting it. The shotgun is going to come around, but Trippin lives to the gunfight, and Wimpy and Ray Thinking are here to rise up. And Joe takes round number 1 on Theme Park.
Wimpy, okay, Wimpy, you redeemed yourself. You got that team. You got that team kill that was not super contested, but he did end the match with a 3K. Not including that team kill, so 4 kills overall, but he definitely showed up when it came down to the clutch, and that's something that their team definitely needed to pull back into it, because after that team kill happened, you could see that Joe Esports looked a little bit shook. They were pushing in, they were strapped for time, they were missing out on those angles that they were holding, and so 2 of them jumped in through the window and both immediately got gunned down. But, of course, Wimpy, we talked about him pre-game, how he showed up a big time in the close qualifiers, and now we're definitely expecting to see more of that from him, so I'm very impressed by that. And overall, this defensive setup did work pretty well. It was just those really clutch frags. So I can't really say that the defense should, you know, change something major about their defensive setup, and it doesn't look like they are.
Wimpy coming up massive with 4 frags on round number 1, getting the opening kill, the final 2 picks to end the round with a victory for Joe. Meanwhile, for the second round, we're going to be going right back to the same bomb site. Prod, the only member on PogChamp, find frags for his team that previous round. Hopefully this time around, PogChamp can come around with the win here and try to keep it an even scoreline. If not, this is going to be really, really scary for PogChamp, because coming into this matchup, you would expect for PogChamp to win that round, given the way how things were going. Time constraints were very low. There was only 1 drone left with rethinking. Every single drone, other drone was gone. There was no other way for intel to have been gathered there, and Wimpy just coming through and just bulldozing his way, spearheading all through PogChamp.
And we see already the attackers are looking toward the closer entries to site through these windows instead of playing a second floor roam clear so far. We'll see if that strategy decides to change up a little bit, but I think it's definitely a necessary thing to do in this on this map to clear out the second floor. But Ollie gets the first frag onto Trippin. That is a minute into the round too, and it looks like the attackers, yeah, they're already in sight. Another kill goes down. Chala, however, refrags and Geo goes down. C4 over the wall. Prod managed to get clicks as well, and now the attackers are on the ropes. Rethinking frags one back for his team, however, and Joe is on the back foot. Wimpy is the only one left. He does have the diffuser, but is it going to be enough? He's in a 1v3, needs to find the heads here. We'll find the first one onto Prod. Wimpy, he clutched out the last round. Can he clutch out this round as well?
This is really dangerous here for Wimpy, but he does have those Nomad charges in hand. He has no more air jabs to work with. He's got Chala currently the drug lab. He's got another member of Ghost right outside in the hallway, ready to peek and refrag Chala should he die in this engagement. Wimpy does have a lot of time to play with, but he's going to go in and try to bait out Chala to see if he can toss out the C4, which he does have in hand, thanks to the new UI coming out here from Ubisoft. Wimpy trying to play this out as best as he possibly can. He's going to try to fake this diffuser as much as possible. To currently reposition himself right behind the bomb chassis on the air hockey table as he creeps his way around and try to move his way into the drug lab, into the drug lab, excuse me. But now just awaiting. Does he see Chala's foot? Oh, he does see Chala's feet. He'll take a lot of damage onto Chala, just below half HP. 55 seconds remaining on the round. Wimpy trying to see how he can make this work out. Sees Ghost! What a shot from Wimpy! Only 1 left to find. Chala does have a C4 in hand. He's going to toss it out. It's not going to make it smart. And Wimpy right around the corner. And Wimpy coming up yet again. Joe with 2 rounds in a row. Wimpy, the absolute madman, the huge slayer here for Joe, taking down PogChamp 2 rounds in a row.
We already seeing the clutch master of CL. This is insane. We've played 2 rounds and we've had 2 clutches by Wimpy, and they were both on Nomad. This This is great. He's definitely showing up here.
Wimpy's CGG is definitely going to be bright green. Bright green. 2 1vx's, no, not 1vx to clutch it out in a 1v3. And especially to come big with the 4K on the first round. He's got, I believe, at least 8 kills. Or at least 7 kills. 7 to 8 kills now. And he has just been absolutely monstrous. 7 kills in a row for Wimpy. He, Geo, and Clicks are the only members who have not... Wait, no. He's the only member to have not died here.
Yeah. Only member to not die. The rest have died in both other rounds as well. And Prod one of the 2 people on the side of PogChamp with a frag. And so Joe Esports already showing up big time. And this prompted a switch up in the defense of PogChamp. You know, when you go for the same site twice in a row and you lose both of them, then it's probably time for a switch. But I can honestly say that the fact that they stuck with it for that second round wasn't necessarily a mistake, because how do you predict a situation like this where you nail down the defense? There's only 1 man left alive, and he just gets the beautiful flick headshots. It's really nice to see, but this time we're going to go over to an upstairs site. And so we'll see how the game plays out this time around and whether or not Joe Esports can combat it. In terms of shutting down Wimpy, I'm not sure if PogChamp have a specific strategy in mind for that. They seem to be playing it about the same way that they played the last site. Decently heavy roam game, mute Mozzie Vigil, and I guess let's just see if they get their frags this time.
For right now, it's clearly been a battle of Wimpy versus Prod, and Wimpy has come up massively here for Joe in these past 2 rounds. He's setting up an air jab, realizing that one got blasted on the side of the Dragon Stairs. Believe that was going to be filthy, but he's going to toss in the flashbang just to cover himself. Takes out the default camera right on top of Dragon, but he's actually going to go and vault over. I think he has the AOK from a drone possibly, but you do have one rotating around, but he will be retreating back up top on those Dragon Stairs, as you're going to have Filthy right below those Dragon Stairs.
Ooh. Ollie jumping in, getting 2 off the bat. Chala with a headshot as well. So that is already a great start for Joe Esports, and they're looking in command of this round as well as their attack. They're already up 2-0, and in this round, they're up 2 kills as well. So see if Filthy and Prod can do anything about this, as they have a pretty heavy roam game going on with flanks set up. A couple of flashbangs go out, but not really burning down an ADS and not really pushing off of it either. So just utility used for the sake of using it. They do get the drone out. C4 doesn't land. Someone shot it actually, and ooh, tripping. As soon as he goes to peek the angle, he gets taken down as well. Ollie showing up for his team this time, and Prod gets taken down to about 1/3 of his health. Confirmed kill. Ollie with a 4K. Can he get the ace? He's pulling out the pistol as well. Nobody knows quite where Prodigy is right now, but... oh, they actually do. They're pre-firing him this entire time. Is there anyone who can push in? Ollie will get the ace as well. Joe Esports. They're showing up, and they're showing up against PogChamp, the favorites of CL.
Hashtag Joe up, ladies and gentlemen. Joe up, Ollie and Wimpy, the 2 men on this team, absolutely slaughtering PogChamp. 3 rounds in a row for the attacking squad. We came into this expecting it to be defender-sided. It is anything but. And in all honesty right now, just looking at how the game's playing, it's literally Prod versus 5. Prod versus 2 even, because the rest of Joe with rethinking Geo and Clicks are just standing there droning, getting the information for Wimpy and Ollie. It's just Prod that's been able to fight back so far in this matchup. You got to feel for PogChamp coming into this. You know, obviously they were hyped. They had their warm-ups for him. But right now, Joe just looked to be absolutely unstoppable against PogChamp.
Yeah, PogChamp, at this point, I think they need to do something unexpected, because Joe, right now, they have quite a bit of momentum. They're riding off the high of Wimpy, some crazy frags. We have Ollie with an ace. You know, that's so much momentum personally and as for your entire team, that I think in order to stifle this momentum, you can't really play standard, because at this point, Joe, I think, are just going to keep winning these gunfights over and over and nailing those headshots. I think you have to catch them off guard and pull out some crazy strat that takes out Wimpy and Ollie off the bat or something like that. Maybe we could be seeing them pull a Goyo out of nowhere and start playing. Is incredibly strong right now. It's not a super weird strat, but it would definitely be a change from what they're doing. But we'll see if they stay more aggressive as well. I think that's probably their best answer, is have maybe Filthy, maybe Bud even Chala, start taking the fight to Joe Esports instead of playing this really late flank sort of roamer game.
It's very peculiar for PogChamp right now. Geo and Clicks, both members, I mean, on all honesty, they really don't need to be fragging. Of course, you know, Geo on the butt, it'd be nice for him to get some picks, but it's mostly just been Wimpy and Ollie so far here. Rethinking's tacked on a little bit here for his team, and the reality for Joe right now is that they have no way of slowing down here. Filthy finally going to find his first pick.
There's the aggression.
This matchup takes care of Wimpy, your top fragger, as well as the Nomads. So no air jabs will be utilized here for Joe Esports. And this could be the changing shift in time for PogChamp.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to see and what I mentioned too. Filthy taking the fight immediately to Joe Esports, peeking out the main door right before Wimpy even got inside the building. Taking those aggressive fights, Chala gets another one as well. As soon as someone enters into the bathroom, he takes them out with a headshot. Clicks able to refrag it, however, so that is a one-for-one trade there. But Joe Esports are still forced to slow down their game now that they only have 3 members on the board. Ollie's down, Wimpy's down. Those are the 2 fraggers from the past couple rounds. So now we're going to have to see Rethinkin, Geo, and Clicks start stepping up. And it seems like Clicks is doing so. That's his 2nd kill for the round. And let's see if they can keep this momentum up.
Clicks gonna have to fully reload a magazine there. Minute 20 left in the round here for Joe to progress this attack. This wall is soft, but you do have a member of PogChamp currently hiding inside of that first bomb of the A bomb site. It's going to be the Wamai of Ghost. So waiting for this Maverick to go to work on the hard wall. Coming down to the final 60 seconds. Looks like Prod's possibly going to go for a flank here onto PogChamp. You do have the 3 members who haven't really been shining all that much here for Joe, but one of Clicks' nades is going to be getting caught out by my gadget, as well as one of Geo's. So now his time is starting to dwindle down. Prod's currently sitting inside a daycare with Filthy as backup right by the vending machine, and Joe looking to go into the B bomb site. Shots coming out from Clicks onto Prod, going to take a lot of damage onto him, but Ghost going to fall here to a nade from Geo. Beautifully placed there. He'll take care of the Wamai. The dust trying to settle here. Half a minute remains, and Joe looking for their 4th round in a row.
Evan, PogChamp, they just need to play for time right now. They have control over both bomb sites, and Filthy is holding this really good angle right here where he can watch any sort of rotation over. Plant starts going down. He peeks around the corner, doesn't find the head, however, and Clicks will be able to take that one down. And Joe Esports keep themselves on the board. They keep this train rolling. We're seeing 4 for Joe Esports. And PogChamp, you know, they tried something different. They tried with the aggression, but at the end of the day, Joe got some really good refrags, and PogChamp just couldn't stand up to it. I also want to shout out Geo for his really good frag grenade there, basically opening up the bunk site over there, and that was part of the reason he was able to push in and get those angles down.
I thought I was going to be rid of blowouts, but at the time right now, it looks like we're on the verge of another one with Joe coming up 4-0 to start off Theme Park on attack of all sides.
Need to locate and defuse bombs.
I don't know if I'm cursed or if the nerves are just getting it to PogChamp, or if it's just the fact that they can't find an answer here for Joe. Even after taking care of both Wimpy and Ollie, you had a 5v3 advantage. Tripping getting caught with his pants down, sitting inside a site, getting fragged off by Clicks, and then Chala, I believe he was the opening death for PogChamp. It went down from Chala and then to Trippin, and then everyone on Ghost surprisingly sitting at 0-4. He's a player that I honestly haven't been expecting to have gotten here, but we will possibly be having a rehost with Geo lagging out of the game. So as far as I'm aware of, they are a lot of it. We're just getting some clarification right now.
Yeah, and who could have expected that Joe Esports would go up 4-0 against PogChamp? You know, you mentioned it earlier. Not a lot of people know this Joe Esports roster. There are good fraggers, but when you look at PogChamp, these guys are storied. PogChamp's got Prod, Chala, Ghost, Trip, and Filthy. There are so many former pro players on that roster. It's just insane to see them down 0-4. It blows my mind, honestly.
It really does, especially if you're looking at Joe, you're looking at the players on them, especially, and even if you're new, you know, you're new to the scene, you've heard of Filthy, you've heard of Chala, you've heard of all these players on PogChamp. I mean, you've heard of Prod because he was a sub for Organized Chaos back in Season 9. Last season, he played with Akatsuki. And just looking at how the rosters were as a new person coming into Challenge League and as a viewer, you would expect for PogChamp to be up 4-0, given that the fact that they're starting off on defense and the fact that the map is on theme park. But that's clearly not the case here. Joe currently up 4-0. This rehost is going to reset their momentum. If one thing that I do is that they are a heavily momentum-based team as well as PogChamp. So maybe this could be a work in favor here for PogChamp heading into this matchup after the rehost. Currently got 3 members loaded into the lobby from PogChamp, just waiting for players to load into the lobby. But I, for one, did not expect this scoreline to be this way as a Rocky.
Yeah, part of me thinks maybe PogChamp should try out a more anchor-heavy strat instead of going with the 3 roamers, because we've seen, and hopefully they've noticed at this point, that I don't think there's been a single round where Joe Esports have brought a hard breach. And so if you play this sort of closer to sight mentality, you bring a Goyo, you deny angles like that, I think you might be able to find more success, because at that point you're sort of forcing the attackers to choke into these very small angles, only go in through the doorways instead of going through any of the walls. I think that could be a potential avenue for Joe Esports, or for PogChamp, to come back and take at least 1 round off of the defense. They only have 2 left, and they're on the verge of getting 6-0'd on the start.
Yeah, I was looking back at some of the notes that Red Cube gathered from all the teams within the league here. Looking over at PogChamp's notes, he asked them, as a team, what are your major strengths and major weaknesses? And PogChamp said they'd say that one of their big strength is the ability to adapt. They have great communication and they can all shoot back. They have a lot of experience combined, and they feel that with that experience, they can take advantage of teams with the lack of it. They don't think they don't think their team has any weaknesses. They feel extremely well-rounded and unpredictable in what they can do in games, so they're very excited to put that on display. But that's pretty much been the opposite case here for PogChamp, unfortunate to say as it is. But man, Joe have really risen up here. They are really coming out with the statement. And,
Yeah, and
as of right now, it looks like we've got all going ahead and setting up everything in the lobby. But what were you gonna say?
Yeah, so when it comes to adaptation, they could mean a bunch of things as well. So I wish we could clarify with them what sort of adaptation, because in my mind there's sort of 3 types of adaptation you can have in Siege. There's the overall meta adaptation, where, okay, this map is in the rotation, we're really good at suddenly learning this map, or this map gets reworked, we're playing it over and over and we have strats for it immediately. There's the round to round sort of adaptation, where you bring different sites, you can hold whatever bomb site you want, and you react to what the enemies are picking. And then there's the mid-round adaptation, where, say, one of your players gets picked, and you weren't necessarily prepared for that. Like, maybe he's the Echo player, and you definitely don't want your Echo to be picked first. How you deal with that? How do you rotate the rest of your team around to cover for the fact that such an integral part of your defense is down? And so those are the 3 main sorts of adaptations that I see in Siege. And so far, I really want to see more of that second form of adaptation from the side of PogChamp, to bring some different operators and to change their defensive mentality, instead of just changing around the site but still playing this mute Mozzie Vigil. This time they don't have Mozzie, but they still have a super roam heavy lineup, and that does favor map, but so far it just hasn't been working. So I think there does need to be a switch up.
I just think that the clutch factor and the overall raw potential coming out from Joe, and I also think that Joe just has a much better mindset right now for the time being. Of course, being up 4-0, it's just not something that you would be expecting here for PogChamp. But the way that Joe have handled themselves, I'm very, very impressed with them, especially given the fact with the amount of experience that is on PogChamp. I'm very thoroughly impressed here with Joe, especially given the fact that they're starting on attack. This is their first season. This is their first official game of Challenger League, and they have come through the gates swinging. Hopefully this time around for PogChamp, they've had a little bit of time to reset, talk about things that have went wrong. All of Joe have spawned over on the bumper car spawn. And they're over towards the locker side, over by bathroom.
Yeah, and one thing I also want to note about last round too is the fact that Ollie, we mentioned this already, but Ollie and Wimpy got picked as the first 2 players off of Joe Esports. PogChamp were up 5-3, and super, like, all credit to Joe Esports. We were talking about, okay, Wimpy's been stealing the spotlight. How well can these other players step up? And we saw they were absolutely able to step up. Clix managing to get, I think, 3 or 4 kills during that round. Geo with a frag on his own. So these guys are definitely very, even if Ollie and Wimpy go down, so you really need a full, well-rounded defense on the side of PogChamp to break this really strong attack.
I believe that's Geo on flank watch down below, over by lockers, if I'm not mistaken. Is Filthy rotated down. He's still going to try to fight around the dragon set of stairs. Tossing an impact nade to try to get rid of a air jab that might have been deployed out by Wimpy, as he's only got one left in his pocket. And like I mentioned before, you know, for PogChamp, hopefully this mental reset is what they need to get themselves in the game. But if this still ends up going in the favor of Joe, I'm really nervous for PogChamp.
Especially since we've seen a trend more and more toward the defensive side of most of these maps, considering how much utility has been added lately, especially with Goyo on the board, which I'm still pretty surprised we haven't seen a Goyo yet, but I can stop talking about that now. Over on the side of PogChamp, yeah, they're doing a good job of buying time, however. And Sports, they've taken out a lot of utility, but there goes the first kill. Prod manages to take out Ollie. Ooh, Clix almost getting caught out by some bad timing as he goes to melee a barbed wire and almost gets his head taken off. Wimpy taking out Filthy, however. So we're down to a 4v4, 50 seconds left on the clock. Still definitely enough time for the attackers to execute, but we have a flank coming in. It's immediately shut down by Clix. Chala able to get nothing off of that.
This is really tough here for PogChamp, especially given the fact that they got the opening pick. Filthy and Chala off the board here, and you know, one thing that you have noticed from Filthy when he was on Tempo Storm, he's either really hot or really cold. This game, he's really cold, and it's really unfortunate for him right now because he and Chala have not been able to step up here. Primary fraggers for PogChamp. Flank's trying to come around from Geo, but that's going to be Ghost able to take care of him, and he'll be able to down that castle. An effective 3v2 here for Joe, but time is running low here. Shots coming out from Trippin, able to take care of one. It's a rethinking, going with the shotgun. He's the only member left alive. It's a 2v1. The plant's starting to come down. Trippin starting to rotate into the bathroom. He's able to take care of one, and it's a round here for PogChamp. No! Clix is able to plant down the diffuser. Ghost is down on the board. A C4 getting tossed. This is really tough here for Trippin. He should have had that round. He's going to start to rotate around towards office. Clix has the aim to work with. 30 seconds left on that diffuser. And Clix is just one shot of damage away, and he can retrieve that C4. But no! Joe are gonna come up yet again, and Clix so masterfully patient here against Trippin. 5 rounds in a row for Joe.
As soon as Clix was able to get the plant down, he immediately found the best spot for him to be in. The only way he could have gotten rotated on was for the defender to go all the way around through the other side of the building. This line of sight that Clix was holding held down pretty much any possible way that he could reasonably, within the amount of time for the defuse to go off, to rotate around. So it was basically just, he forced, I think it was Trippin, to peek him. And at that point, you know, he's got this long-range gun, he's got the AR, he's on Maverick, he's got a decent amount of health as well. He was able to take it out against the SMG-11, which if you don't get the initial headshot, that recoil can be super hard to control, especially at the range that fight was taken at. So, play right there in the final moments of the round by Clix, and unfortunately Trippin just not able to stop that plant from going down. That would have just, obviously immediately won the round there since he was the last one left alive, but definitely unfortunate for him.
I honestly thought that round was going to go in favor of PogChamp. The way that Trippin was flanking, he had lined up, but we didn't see Trippin's point of view, and clearly he didn't see Clix planting down that diffuser. He was able to take care of the one trying to watch flank while Clix planted down that diffuser. Oh, that is so tough here for PogChamp. 5 rounds in a row for Joe. And we honestly could see a 7-0 to start the season.
That would be wild. On the list of things that I wouldn't expect, it would be Joe Esports 7-0ing PogChamp. We still have potentially 2 rounds left to see if that gets broken. But at this point, when you lose a round like that as well, PogChamp, they really need something to rally their team together, because that's a mentality breaker of a round right there. If they were, you know, if they were on their way to a comeback, if they were on their way to trying to reset their mindset, that was not a good start, and neither is this, as Geo gets the first pick here. Trippin goes down to a headshot. And Joe Esports already on the board once again. And Geo with another headshot. Filthy goes down. We're on a 5v3 already. The 6th round in, Joe Esports are dominating this match.
Just a quick update for those of you who might not be aware, over on twitch.tv/Caliber Jacob for stream A of Season 11 North American Challenge League, it is currently 5-2 in favor of Life is Pain against Okami on Coastline. And this game is very close to ending. They've taken down Trippin, they've taken down Filthy. Joe are masterfully playing against PogChamp, and yet again, Ghost is gonna fall. There goes Rethinking taking care of the castle. Now it's all Nchala and Prod. Prod really being the only vocal member here for PogChamp. This is a really tough situation to be in if you're PogChamp, and you still have half the round to go through. C4 is gonna miss from Prod. That's the only set of utility really to get frags from Prod out and Nchala outside of bullets. This is gonna be really tough here for the defending squad as they both hug themselves inside of the B bomb site. The Mavericks trying to get to work on top of that hatch.
On the bright side for PogChamp, this is a pretty difficult site to attack without a hard breach. They do have a Maverick, which allows them to open up some angles, but it's going to be hard for him to actually get a full wall open. So right now we're seeing a little bit of vertical game being played. Prod getting shot a little bit. He's not dead, but at this point when you're in a 2v5, any bit of health is super important because that's one last attack that will take him down. And speaking of, Geo looking through the hatch that's been partially Mavericked. I don't think Prod expected anyone to be holding that angle, but he does. And Wimpy! Wimpy turns around, gets the headshot onto Nchala, and a flawless round. That's the second flawless round so far, and we're perfect half. And when I say half, I mean a perfect defense, because I don't think it's gonna be the full half. I think we're like 70 or 80% through.
We are one round away from crowning the first victory inside of Season 11 of North American Challenger League. And it's going to be with a 7-0 potentially? Oh my goodness, this is a game for the ages. It's not close. It's obviously, heading into it, it felt like a bit of a David versus Goliath if you looked at the roster sheet, if you're not familiar with these players, but man, Joe Esports, they might be the real deal, and they might even be in the top 3 just given off of this performance that they're showing us tonight.
Yeah, when I said Joe Esports are going to surprise people, I didn't mean this. I thought they were going to be much more competitive than people thought, but to take out one of the favorites, I think most people had either PogChamp or Life is Pain basically winning CL, but Joe Esports obviously have something to say about that, and you know, they wanted to have a good showing against PogChamp. They knew they were going up against one of the best teams here, and they're doing a fantastic job of it. Ollie and Wimpy stepping up. Clix has gotten his round. Geo's gotten his round. Rethinkin has still been on the board through most of these rounds as well, and his utility definitely cannot be understated as well. So this entire team has been stepping up, and that's a really hard force to stop. You know, a lot of times we see these teams play, you know, there's one or two teams that end up taking most of all of the frags, and in this case we see most of them Filthy. That's a good start for them, however, as PogChamp shut down a spawn peak.
Well, that's going to be the first opening frag here for PogChamp. Filthy to answer the call here for PogChamp. And they'll be taking care of Wimpy, who's been so dominant against PogChamp in this series. The 7-0 could be shut down here, given how if this round continues to play in favor of PogChamp, but we've seen PogChamp be able to find the 2 opening picks, but then it gets picked right back up by the 3 remaining members of Joe, be it Clix, be it Geo, be it Rethinking. If both Wimpy and Ollie die, it won't matter, because you still have 3 members to work with, and they don't care. Another pick's going to come here from Nchala, however, onto Geo. There goes your mute at a very big disadvantage on that staircase with the SMG-11 against the M4 from the Maverick. Round, dare I say it, is going to potentially go in favor of PogChamp. Filthy finding one up above the hatch. Trying to find another here is going to be Rethinking. He's able to take care of Filthy. Getting shut down by Nchala. Easy pick here. And now all of a sudden, the 7-0 dream is all on the hands of Ollie in the castle. Sees one behind the dragon statue. Can he find the fight against him? Struggling very deeply here. Having to switch to the super short. He got shut down by the dragon side, and Prod is going to take care of Ollie very easily.
So we finally see PogChamp take a round back into their favor. Be the start of a comeback, but it's quite a monumental comeback as they are on match point and they will be for the next 5 rounds, assuming they don't lose any of them. So it's definitely a tough task. But round was a very good one. You know, I think they only lost one person, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. But one thing I do want to point out about this defense is that their setup was okay. I really want to see a reinforced wall up right in front of the main entrance there that covered the stairs. We saw Trippin, I think, or maybe it was Shala, get a frag looking up onto the stairs through that angle. You know, that's a very common place for people to reinforce because it holds down a very big rotation. And if you don't reinforce it, then something like we just saw can absolutely happen to you. So that's one of the big changes I want to see on the defense. But Joe Esports, they're already bringing one of their own changes. First time that we see one this round, or for this map, despite how strong he's been in Pro League, for example.
Are we going to see PogChamp run it back here? I mean, it's only been one round, but we could be looking at a defender-sided theme park, or an attacker-sided theme park, given the fact that Joe went up 6-0, and the same could happen here for PogChamp. Hopefully this time around hopefully if you're a PogChamp fan, if you're a Joe fan, and if you're on the side of Joe, you want to win this round and get onto the next map as quick as possible. Shut all of your haters up. And they have made an absolute big statement here in the opening match.
Yeah, it's definitely possible that esports already made a couple of fans here just from this single map with how well they've been playing. We'll see if they can keep it up on their on their defense. Last round didn't go so well for them, but this round, you know, we still got, 5 more rounds to go for them to potentially win just one round. And it seems like they are willing to adapt. They're willing to switch around their defensive lineup. As we already talked about, the Goyo super strong. He's, first of all, deployable shields in general are pretty good. And Flick's saying this Goyo can bring 3 of them. And on top of that, they can do zone denial. They can be plant denial. They can basically prevent access for the attackers even further, or even kill someone if you explode them at the right. So I really like the switch up from the side of Joe Esports.
Shotgun hole is going to be adjusted just a little bit from Geo with that M59 in hand. He's going to make it to where you can be able to actually sprint through. For the time being, Wimpy's going to get caught by surprise. I believe there's one trying to shoot him through the drone hole as he's getting aggressively droned out. We have had a member disconnect. That is really unfortunate here. And Joe cannot rehost given that they already rehosted earlier on. But a great shot's going to come here from Geo. Filthy unaware of him. It's going to be the opening pick here. Clicks returning. And it's now an effective 4v4 here for Joe.
So it is an effective 4v4 for sure. And with 1 minute 20 seconds left on the clock, Prod will take out Geo, who tried to rotate around. That's going to shut down that roamer as well. So at this point, Joe Esports need to bunker down on site and try to buy as much time as possible before this execute comes out. Frag grenades gets tossed, won't find anyone, however, and Wimpy going for a pretty aggressive peek here. Who just barely sees someone behind the housing of the holographic, turns around, doesn't get the flick shot, however. It will be traded out. Chala and Wimpy both go down, and Ghost, or Chala goes down, Wimpy goes down by the hands of Chala, and Ghost goes down off of that as well.
You're fine. 50 seconds on the clock now. Rethinking and Ollie, the remaining members of Joe. Rethinking going to go big for one. Can he find the second? No, we will only be able to down one. That's going to be the Maverick being down here, but Ollie going for the flank. He has the prime opportunity to do so. Walking right down the hall. He'll see one, but he won't be able to find it. And there goes Chala, fragging off Ollie, and PogChamp stays alive for just at least one more round.
And round by round, they're getting more momentum as well, and that's so important in a game like Siege, where these big flick shots can make all of the difference. If you get a headshot, it's an instant kill. It's definitely one of those situations where if you're in the zone, if you're feeling it, you can snap to those heads a lot faster. So hopefully we can see this comeback continue and at least get more of a competitive game, even if PogChamp don't win it out toward the end. And they've already prevented themselves from getting 7-0'd, and that is a good start. We'll see if they can keep the comeback running. So one thing I also want to mention is that the Jackal actually played a pretty big role during that round as well, because of, again, this super roam-heavy style that Joe Esports have been running, sort of mirroring what PogChamp did on their defense. And it seems like Joe Esports, their adaptation is to bring a Maestro, start getting a little bit more toward this site pressure, toward an anchor game. So now they have Maestro and Goyo, so attacking these sites directly is going to be a lot harder. And even after the roam clear happens, even if all three of the roamers go down for the side of Joe Esports, these two are still definitely capable of clutching it out, especially since Wimpy's on the Goyo and Gio's on the Maestro. These are two really frag-heavy players that we've seen so far.
Having a little bit of an internet spike there, but he's back down to earth at 50 ping. And one thing that I'm noticing right now, for the time being at least, is that this map, you would have expected it to have been defender-sided, but we've had 8 rounds in a row be attacker-sided. Every single round has been won by the attackers. The first team to win a defense round, well, obviously the only team to win a defense round right now is going to be Joe for the time being. If they can do so, then they'll effectively put this matchup to an end, which is what they're so desperately trying to do for the time being. Gio's been really stepping it up here, and Ollie's cooled down a little bit as well. Ollie currently at a 0-3 scoreline after the rehost that we just had. But man, Joe really rising up to the occasion on their attack half, going up 6-0 as we saw previously. Tripping right outside the window of Clix, and if Clix were to swing on this window, he could find this IQ, I'm sorry, this Maverick, which would be a real big detriment to the attacking squad of PogChamp. I think Clix is just biding his time, awaiting for the right moment to peek, trying to see if he can find Trippin. Doesn't want to push out just yet. Here's the repel signal. For the time being, Clix not being able to find onto the frag on the timing to peek over onto Trippin.
Yep, and no kill will come from that very tense situation. Of course, we have wall hacks as casters, but these players obviously do not, so they don't realize how close they were. But as this hatch goes down, Trippin will start shooting onto Ollie and manage to get the frag as well. So PogChamp already starting this round out ahead in a 5v4. Ollie goes down, so 0-4 scoreline for him since the rehost. Definitely, like you said, he's been cooling down. A couple of shots traded across the board, but no other actions going to happen quite yet. Deployable shield there. And it seems like a frag grenade might go for... Yeah, it's going to blow it up. Wimpy doesn't take a lot of damage, but it is that big piece of utility cleared. Goyo shield, super strong. Not only does he clear the deployable shield part, but they can't... The defenders can't potentially use that for an entry denial device.
This is a really tough gun to utilize here, and the Buck of Prod is going to be very careful for how he peeks this. Some shots being fired out, but that'll get eaten up by an ADS. Now Prod's going to make a rotate for himself over onto the arcade balcony. 50 seconds left on the clock. One's going to peek around from the yellow stairs. That's Gio taking care of Filthy. Advantage now in favor of PogChamp. We're evening things here, as PogChamp is going to refrag now onto Joe. Ghost takes down Rethinking. An effective 3v3, 40 seconds on the clock, and now you're just going to have, I believe it's going to be Trippin, waiting flank here on those yellow stairs.
Oh, and Prod managed to get the kill on Gio, who got a little bit too excited and peeked the wrong angle there, and now we're down to a single defender. That's Clix, trying to clutch it out for his team. He's got 3 attackers to deal with in a post-plant scenario. Remember, there are 7 seconds to defuse the bomb, or defuse the diffuser in this case. No one behind that deployable shield. It's going to go down, however. That's the fire burning, and PogChamp, they're going to take yet another round to further initiate this comeback. The attackers have been on point today.
Really not been the case here. It's so weird. It's so weird to see Joe not being able to win a round here on defense, given how much momentum they had on their attacking half, and for the Goyo to be working against the defenders here, it's really interesting.
Yeah, and taking a look at some of these lineups, and we're going to see a Legion on the board. So recently, Legion has been nerfed, so you don't get quite as much information since those goo mines end up fading away. The icons do as you get farther away from them. So it's harder to tell exactly where someone tripped them, but tripping them in general is still a big pain. You can't sprint, you can't plant, you're forced to take it out before you can really do much. Other than maybe win a heads-up fight if someone tries to peek you immediately after that happens. So really good, and rethinking over here, reinforcing that angle I was talking about before. Different site this time. It's arguably more important to reinforce that for this site, since those stairs are going to be a big rotation for the defenders. But I do like, on any of these first floor sites, seeing that wall reinforced. Overall, we have a pretty similar defensive lineup though. Mute Mozzie being run, I think, almost every time so far. For both teams, pretty much. And it hasn't really been working out too well. You gotta wonder if a more drastic change is in order.
If Joe are able to win out this defense round, then they will obviously be ready and set to go ahead and take the victory here. Obviously, the scoreline would be 7-3 if they were to win this round, and I'm still in shock as to how neither team has been able to win a defense round. And if PogChamp can bring this back, then we'll have witnessed one of the better comebacks in history here. And I jinxed it. I jinxed it right at the 6-0. I said we possibly could be seeing a 7-0, but obviously the members of Joe have cooled down, and the attacking squad of PogChamp are really starting to heat up here against Joe Esports.
Castle barricade utility going down, and with the inclusion of more frag grenades, teams can feel free to blow more of their frags on other pieces of utility. Maybe there would be more of a question on whether or not you take out that castle barricade if we had a different... If it was before where there weren't so many operators with frags and you couldn't run, say, in this case, a Maverick with frags, which is a very strong combo, by the way. Really good for taking out utility and even getting some nice picks with his frag grenade if he were to open up just a tiny little peek hole in any reinforced wall. So they do still have 3 frags left on the board, 2 claymores, or 1 claymore left, and a couple of smoke grenades. Interestingly, they didn't bring any stun grenades, and that will make it difficult, or that would make it difficult to clear out ADSs if there were any. But Joe Esports did not bring any, and Wimpy will get the first frag of this round onto Trippin. Joe Esports, I think maybe for the first time on the defense, are on the board and they're starting it off well.
A minute left in the half here. Currently got Click sitting over by Armory on the first floor, and you still have the Maverick up above with I believe it's Ghost on the Maverick right now, but oh no, Trippin's dead. I'm sorry, I don't know why I saw the Maverick, sorry. But currently prone is it's gonna be Wimpy. He's gonna get or the Mozzie's gonna get found out from rethinking. Bucking up above is going to be Prod right now, trying to see if he can find an angle onto that Mozzie. You currently have the Zofia of Chala on the yellow stairs. Right now, the Jackal of Filthy is trying to see if he can find one through the drone hole, but Wimpy answering the call here. Prod goes down as well. And another great pick to come through from Ollie on the castle, taking care of Chala. Joe on the rise up here to win the first game of the season. And Filthy all on his lonesome here in an effective 1v5. Sees the head of one, takes care of Clicks. He got all to deal with inside a bathroom. He can't even find the castle. And Joe will rise up, taking down PogChamp 7-3 on Theme Park.